Hi, welcome back to the garden. Let's see what's growing this week. So to begin with, our okra is getting a little taller. That's a couple feet tall. Pretty thick around the base, but no fruit or anything to eat there yet. And the other okras are still short, but they're growing. Ooh, bunny running across. Not sure if I caught him on camera. That pile over there is probably full of rabbits. Next up, we've got the eggplant, and there's definitely a lot of bug pressure on that eggplant. But this one's got a first flower. And then over in back, the peppers are kind of looking sad, but that bell pepper has at least got one fruit on it. And actually, let's walk around. That bell pepper also has one fruit starting. Over here, the new chard is growing. I should probably harvest a few of those leaves and dehydrate them later. The old chard is looking pretty bad, but once again, I'm just going to, when I get the time, I'm going to rip all of that up and dehydrate it. Most of the beans I planted were completely unsuccessful, but this one is at least growing, and so is the one over there. Those are bush beans, so they don't need to be trellised. I'm not sure if that tiny little thing there is a bean or another weed. If I go over to this bed and walk to the other side, yeah, it's mostly getting overrun by grass and the wood's falling apart and it needs to get redone. But I've got a bean plant there, one there, and one over there, along with a completely dead one there. This yellow thing. I have no idea what killed that, but it did a good job of it. Over at this end, well, I've got two little onion bulbs that I need to do something with. But over at this end, and doing rather well still, is the sweet potatoes. Something came through and ate the tops of all of these. I suspect that's our rabbits. And then over here in buckets, bucket 1, 2, and 3 are all tomatoes. They're still alive, but definitely not liking the 100-something degree heat. And over here, I've got a bird's eye pepper, also known as a Thai chili. And I think that's getting some cross-pollination from my serranos. Over in that bed at the end, I've got serranos and bird's eye peppers. And then at the end of that other bed over there, I've got banana peppers, which were labeled as jalapenos. I didn't deliberately plant banana peppers. And I've got habaneros there. And the wind blows basically all the way across this field from the neighbor's house, and the pollination goes all over the place for the peppers. So we'll see what comes out of that. And yesterday we moved these 4 buckets that you can see on the end. 1, 2, 3, 4 have moringa trees in them. Now, these aren't likely to be able to survive the Texas winter, so we're just leaving them in buckets. But the leaves are edible, so that's pretty much how they're getting used. If they get big enough, yes, they'll produce fruit, but that's going to take a few years, and they're not going to survive, probably won't survive the winter like this. Let's go look over at the peppers. So this is my pepper bed. Move so I can get a little less light reflecting. And these are still producing surprisingly well. Like if we go look in here, that's a green pepper. That one's a little dry, but there's a pepper that's starting to turn red. There's some more peppers, 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 pepper, pepper, pepper. There's a lot of peppers out here. So I'm going to be posting a video about making hot sauce later with my first attempt. If you want to see how to actually use peppers or make them into hot sauce, subscribe, you'll see that video later. And there's more peppers. Now, we're under watering restrictions, so these haven't been watered in 2 days, which is why the leaves are kind of droopy here. And over here in this bed, we've got some more tomatoes. That's an heirloom tomato, the big one. That's been horrible production. And then over at the end, I've got 3 more tomato plants that also aren't looking well. They don't like the heat. And these other 3, 4 are all eggplant. And those have been really unsuccessful. I actually cut several eggplant out of this bed already. Over here, this last final bed, we've got growing just kind of this giant bush is a bunch of cherry tomato plants. These were producing pretty well earlier, and once again, tomatoes don't like the heat. We're just keeping them alive and hoping to get some produce off them this fall. And then I've got some peppers over here. I actually don't see much fruit on them at the moment. They are looking really droopy because they need water. It's been hot, and that is not good for the garden, and we're under watering restrictions, which just makes it worse. There and over there, I've got 2, I don't even know if they're still alive, blueberry bushes. And then finally, I've got my calamansi tree. Let me make sure the water hose is on so I don't have to walk back. We're under watering restrictions, but I'm allowed to water trees whenever I want to. So we're going to water this thing. This is a Filipino lime tree, and this thing's probably 2 years old at this point. And it hasn't been getting tall like we'd like, but we're just kind of keeping it alive, and hopefully later we'll get some fruit off it. That's pretty much it for the garden. Now I gotta go mow the lawn.